All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well on this fantastic Monday evening. My name is Kari Evans. I am the Club Growth Director for District 44, and I am excited to be here with the D44 mentorship team to bring you some mentoring training. And the purpose of the D44 mentorship team is to help clubs either start, revive, or strengthen the mentoring program in their club. And we want to provide all the tools and resources that will help you do that. Tonight, I want to take a moment to introduce the awesome team, and then we will get started with our special guest speaker. So for the D44 mentorship team, we have Damon Edwards, who you may know out there in this meeting and out there in Facebook land and Toastmaster land. We have Kelmikis Mitchell. I'm sure you know her as well. She has brought a lot of resources and information to District 44. And we also have Kedria Shepherd, and Kelmikis and Kedria are the co-chairs of this team. And Kedria has been an awesome resource and support. And I'm going to turn it over to her because she was the one to bring us our special guest speaker, and she'll have the pleasure of introducing her.
Thank you so much, Kari. It's been a pleasure, and I am honored, as I would say. I'm definitely honored, and thank you so much. Okay, we're going to get right into it. I am Kedria Shepherd, and yes, I have the honor of presenting our speaker for this evening, Miss Mona L. Haygood. She's an educator with 23 years of experience. She has worked with Atlanta Public Schools at the Office of Gifted in Education for nearly 10 years. In addition to being a wife for 20 plus years, she's the proud mother of two. Now, not if that's not enough, being a mother of two and a wife and working for Atlanta Public School Systems, she has time to be an avid craft maker and a one-time triathlete. Nevertheless, she's a spreader of joy. Miss Haygood's life motto is, Lord, let me help somebody. The next person that you will hear is Miss Mona L. Haygood. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kedria. You all, it is certainly a pleasure to be here with you tonight, especially talking about something that is close to my heart, and that is mentorship. And so I know that in Toastmasters, honoring time is indeed a priority. And so I am going to mute my camera and start the presentation. Let me get you all moved out of the way. All right, so tonight we are here to talk about mentorship, and we are going to start with just a little input from you. So if you have your cell phones handy, the slide that you are looking at has a QR code. So if you'll take your cell phone and set it to your camera app, you should be able to scan the QR code and it will take you to a poll. Hold on to that information for just one moment, because I'd like for you to take a minute and a half and jot down any roles that you identify with. So I have brainstormed a list of roles here. You can feel free to add any roles that are not listed. And I'm going to start the timer. So you're just jotting a list again of any roles that you identify with. So I'm going to start the timer for another 1.5 minutes. And while you engage in the poll, I'd like for you to submit as many of the roles as you identified with. And maybe we'll just take 30 seconds to do that so we can keep moving. But go ahead, unless you submitted your roles in that poll as you went, I'd like for you just to take a few minutes or to give you a couple minutes, well, a couple seconds to submit to the poll as many of those roles as you identified with. Is there anyone who needs more time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you a few more seconds. All right, is there anyone now who needs more time? You can feel free as we move forward to go ahead and continue to submit any roles while you listen, but we'll go ahead and move forward. So this is something I want to tell you how I became a mentor. So you may be familiar, there's a saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And here I've taken that saying and kind of morphed it a little bit, that when the mentee appears, the mentor will be ready. So I believe that when God made me, when he pulled up the clay in the universe to construct who would become Mona L. Haygood, I think he had me in mind to be a teacher. I grew up wanting to be a teacher. I went to college to be a teacher. And I am a teacher. I believe I'm a teacher beyond everything else. I also happen in birth order to be the oldest girl of 4 children. And through some unfortunate circumstances, my mom became widowed when my siblings and I were 1, 2, 6, and 8. And I was the 6-year-old. So the oldest girl who really kind of co-piloted our family. Well, responsibility and all of that is something that comes very naturally to me. And so I take on, as a young teacher, I took the responsibility of my job in classroom personally and wanted to do very well at that at all times. Anything that I could do to be a better teacher, I made sure that I sought to do that. And really, it was about the time that I became a mid-career teacher that I got a little bit restless in terms of what was there to do next for me. Well, at the time, I happened to be working for a local school system that was not Atlanta Public Schools, and there just were no opportunities, not that many anyway, for positions outside of the classroom or for whatever there was that would be what you would consider next, unless you wanted to become the assistant principal or counselor. And so there were not that many next positions. And so I went back to school and I did get a degree in leadership from Central Michigan, but that was with hopes of doing something completely different, or even kind of when you become restless, looking for the next job. Well, as it would have it, I did get another job, and that job was as an instructional coach, but it forced me to be part-time at one school and part-time in the coach position. And so I wound up having to train a young lady to do my job. And she is really the first person who used the term mentor specifically in regard to me. And so she said, well, she was substitute teaching and she filled in for me the other half of the time when I wasn't at the school where I was the teacher. And so it started a now 12 or 13 year relationship where she has looked to me for many, many things. And so the mentor appeared, but I had all along my journey been collecting the characteristics that would make me a good mentor. And so when the mentee appears, the mentor will be ready because they will be looking for certain things that you possess. So from there, just as I continued to grow my career, I was often called on to become a professional mentor. And then, as you might imagine, being a mom and a wife and a sister and an aunt and a neighbor and a church member, and all of these roles that I have fulfilled, I have just grown in both formal and informal mentorship opportunities because of those personal strengths, traits and capabilities that I possess. And that really has attracted people to me. So just further, even in my work as the senior team member on my team, it's been my job to mentor people who were new to the position. And so who's here with me? These are the roles that you all reflect that you are. And so just like as I navigated my professional and personal growth towards mentorship, look at all the roles reflected here where you have been collecting the skills, knowledge, and dispositions necessary to be a good mentor, whether through Toastmasters or in your personal life or in any of the other connections that these roles put you in touch with. You have been developing those skills towards mentorship. And for someone here, it quite is the next natural step that you're ready to take in terms of formally mentoring someone. So you are ready. And look at all of those roles that you are connected to that have given you what you need. So you don't need Mona Haygood to tell you that you're ready. You are absolutely ready, just looking at the things on that list and your relationships that I didn't even consider. So thank you for participating in my poll. I do want to go back just 1 second because I kind of want to look at it again. You all take a moment. Are there any questions or comments about how a role here has prepared you for how you perceive yourself to be a mentor? Is there anyone willing to share right quick?
Looks like everybody's a friend and a teammate.
Absolutely, because the size of the word is reflected in the number of responses generated from it. So, and friend, what is friend other than mentor? You know, it's like your free counseling. All right. Well, you know, my professional or my natural pull towards mentorship is not without some training and development. So it's very interesting how sometimes we embody things that exist already and our training follows that. Whereas in other instances, we go to get some training that we might want that will take us to the next thing. Mine kind of happened in reverse. So I have had some structured training and development that has further prepared me towards mentorship. The first of those was instructional coaching. So I did get a job as an instructional coach, which means that just like a football coach would coach the football team, an instructional coach coaches teachers. And the sole goal with that is to help teachers achieve their goals and to accept certain things that are true about the reality that they find themselves in. But most importantly, is to strategically help them get to those goals. So I went through the instructional coaching in education. We have endorsements. So kind of like I don't know about your motorcycle's license, but you know, licenses come with licensures come with endorsements. And so in education, we also get endorsements to add credentials or trinkets to our teaching credential. And so I went through training to become an instructional coach or to have that endorsement added. Critical Friends has by far in all of the things that I have added to my personal and professional growth, Critical Friends coach training is by far the thing that I have enjoyed the most learning and the most using in my mentoring, coaching, and teaching practice. So Critical Friends is a training that prepares people to be a coach of a Critical Friends group. And a Critical Friends group could be a faculty, it could be a work group, it could be a Toastmasters club. But what it is about Critical Friends is that it shows you or gives you access to a set of protocols that there is a protocol for everything. There's a protocol for transitioning to a meeting. There's a protocol for analyzing data. There's a protocol for reviewing a piece of literature. There is a protocol for solving dilemmas. If there is any focused need that arises in the work of a group, no matter what that group is, there is a protocol for that. The National School Reform Faculty is not the only entity that offers protocols. There are several other entities. Many of you as professionals may have used protocols. And oftentimes in the world of business, it may be a protocol by some other name, simply a process. So I do have some training and would encourage you to also seek some training that will further your preparation to mentorship. So what is it that I have gotten from this particular training that adds to my capability as a mentor? Well, there are some things that I have learned that I did not already know. And in a nutshell, you can see what those things are that I've learned from instructional coaching. That you have to honor that relationship and seek to nurture it when you accept the call to be a mentor. You have to pay attention to your tone and realize that it's conversational in nature. Your whole role as mentor, even though you may have some mentorship goals that you set for yourself, you're not seeking to project your goals onto your mentee. Your goal as mentor is to support the goals of the mentee. So you have to become a good reader of people to know when to read the body language and the facial expressions and the general tone that isn't coming through their voices, to understand how is what it is, the feedback that you are offering your mentee, how is that being received? Of course, to be prepared and to respect their time and yours, to make sure that you're balancing enough good feedback with corrective feedback or things for their contemplation. And of course, always confidentiality in a mentor-mentee relationship is key. With my Critical Friends coaching, what I have most, Critical Friends training, what I have most taken away from that is about being efficient, and that having a process to follow can sometimes, work through the process. Sometimes that can be everything in helping us get to the goal that we have in mind. Protocols help to keep our work focused and on track, and it's there to uncover issues or varying perspectives that we may not have been aware of before. So there are things, even in my innate teacher self, and with all of the educational background that I have, there is additional training that has strengthened my capability in the area of not just teaching, and not just teaching adults or children or anybody, but in all of my relationships that I have. Oftentimes, these things often come up just as a family member and as a friend. There are some things to contemplate. I really don't ever prefer to do the do's and don'ts list, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring some things that have arisen for my contemplation and that my training helped me to see. The first of those is your mentor doesn't want the me show from you. When I call it, some of us may not be familiar with, there was a movie back in the 90s or early O's called American Pie. And there's a girl who's constantly talking about, when I was at band camp, your mentor doesn't want to just keep hearing the me show, what I did. It was about my last, you have to learn to phrase things in a way so that it's not just you projecting your singular self onto them. Again, no one wants to be judged. So as mentor, you're there to guide in the absence of judgment. It's always good to have a plan. And with that plan, making sure that you manage time by being available and being considerate of time. So these are just some things to contemplate as that mentorship relationship grows. Ultimately, what it's come down to for me in mentorship, if I had to say the two greatest things that I have learned as a mentor that I employ almost every day is, one, how to ask a good question. Because oftentimes it's not that we have to know the answers. I don't have to know all of the answers for anything, because I always know the next question to ask to help someone else achieve their goal. And that was something, you all, that set me free in a mentor-mentee relationship, is that I had to learn not to be the one providing the answers. And you all, I like knowing a lot. I love to tell somebody the answer. And so for that part of my teacher self who likes to know the answer, solve the problem, offer the solution, for all of that, I had to learn how to just ask the question that might guide or gently nudge someone to seeing what it is, or seeing the answer that they already know they need, by me asking the question and not just providing the solution. And the flip side of that is you don't have to know all the answers. And if I had to go back for just a moment, I would certainly say that with Critical Friends training, that is the thing that I love about it. The use of the protocol, the answer may not ever come, but shifting perspectives and causing people to contemplate options, all of those things come out of using the protocols in such a way that you feel liberated from needing to know the answer. With that, I am Mona Haygood. I am an educator and a mentor. I'm delighted to be here with you tonight. Thank you for listening. And at this time, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Kedria, I'll turn it back over to you all.
Thank you. And I believe we're going to turn it back over to Mr. Edwards. But thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Haygood. Thank you for being a friend and my mentor.
I look forward to many more times with you.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
What an awesome presentation. I say everybody on this call, let's give up the Toastmaster elbow for the great Mona Haygood. Thank you so very much for coming, speaking, spreading your wealth and your encouragement. With that being said, thank you. With that being said, everybody, let's ask some questions from this presentation. And I would like to call on somebody. So, with that being said, I would like for Miss Lean. How are you doing? She said, no. You're on mute. Welcome to Zoom. You're on mute, love.
Yeah, good evening.
There she is.
Yeah, it is excellent speech presentation for the mental and show us how to be do the mentor to the others. And I am in the mentor for the club, new club, and learn from it and continue develop the mentorship and the skill.
Nice. Nice. So, Miss Ling, do you currently have a mentorship program in your club?
We will. I'm current. I will be the mentor for a new club.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot of resources that we're going to be able to provide you with to get that ball rolling. Thank you so much for hopping on and answering my harassing question. Miss Tanisha Smith, my Facebook buddy, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am living the dream. I got my hair done, feeling pretty.
I see.
Miss Smith, do you have a mentorship program at your club?
Currently, the mentor program is still under review, but previously, when I was president of my previous club, what I had loved, well, what I talked to the members is that when we have a new member that comes in, since we were all seasoned Toastmasters, we would come in with an idea of like, if you identify with a new member, because we would do like a table topics and why did you decide to join Toastmasters? I don't know why I'm so dark, but anyway, you would kind of have an idea of who you could potentially gel with. So I would always like to pair one-on-ones, but that was my instead of a big mentor program, we would do like a peer-to-peer which is mentoring at the previous club. But the club that I'm in now, they're trying to get it off the ground, and I'm not directly involved, but I do plan on becoming a mentor again.
Understood. What do you think that you were able to pull some very beneficial information from the presentation this evening?
Oh, absolutely. I think with mentoring, it is in your head that you have to be the expert, because the other person or the mentee or the, how Toastmasters say, the protege, you would need to be the expert. But sometimes with mentoring, you learn together, especially if you're willing to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. I always say you can't be a leader until you learn to follow. I love that. I probably stole it from somebody. Miss Kelmikis Mitchell, my cohort, I believe she has a question that she would like to ask somebody in the audience this evening. Kelmikis, come on up. I see your little boy is giving you a break. What's going on?
So I'm going to make this quick. Ms. Haygood, I have a question for you. Early on in your presentation, you mentioned the relationship you had with the young lady that you were training, and it was more than a 10-year relationship that you developed with her. Based on your experiences in training in your personal life or career, can you share your perspective on how long a mentoring relationship should last?
That is a wonderful question, because ironically, we teachers find it very difficult to separate our professional life from our personal life. And so even though the young lady's child, she only has one child, was older by 1 year almost to the day than my child, she was further along in her mothering journey by a year than I was. But because I had become a mom so late, I was the senior mom oftentimes. And so what I will say, and our relationship has only recently taken a turn, but at some point at year 6 or 7, my husband said, that young lady doesn't call as often. I said, then I have done my job. So I don't think that there is any time limit on mentorship, because when you hear, you think about the Heisman Trophy coaches who go up and talk about who their coach mentor was. A lot of mentorship relationships last a long time because the lines do blur from personal to professional. But if I had to make a statement about what I perceive you all's process to be, if it is mentorship through the accomplishment of a particular mile marker, then I think that again goes to defining what the goals of the relationship is. And so if this relationship, if we have a mentorship and the whole purpose is for me to get through my first year of Toastmasters or my first year teaching or through this first triathlon or through whatever it is, if that's the goal, then that just may be the spark that starts a longer relationship or support to the next goal. So I don't think that there has to be a specified time limit on it unless that is the purpose of the relationship. I've also gone on summer internships where I had to live away from friends, family, and familiar. And the mentor that was offered for me while I worked at that mentorship, that was a seasonal relationship with an already defined end date to it. And so I think that these relationships can last, but I think it is okay too to accept that when they come to an end and you have fulfilled your role as mentor, to be okay giving freedom to that relationship and not seeing it, as a let go or as a slight. I have fulfilled my obligation here. On to the next person who needs my help.
Thank you so much for that question. That was a wonderful perspective that I think several of us can share as well. I would like to ask another audience member for their participation. Let me call on Miss Willetta Marshall. Can you come off of mute for me? Thank you very much. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
Fabulous. I will ask you a simple question and get your perspective. What do you believe are some commitments that a mentor should have with a mentee that are most valuable to you?
One of the aspects I'd like for a mentor to have that's very valuable to me is actually to set aside time. Sometimes the mentors are so talented and they have such big hearts that they like to share and start up organizations and get involved in several projects. And after a while, their time is actually spread thin. And you may not be able to contact the mentor because of that. And it's just because, again, I think they have such big hearts and they want to share a lot of their knowledge and a lot of their experience. And sometimes you're not able to get in touch with the mentors. So that is one of the biggest aspects I would like to see in a mentor in the future. And I also like to be able to get different perspectives because I do know that certain mentors have skills or they may be stronger in certain aspects and certain skills. So I'm always open to different perspectives as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marshall. And I think we have a couple more people in the room. I'd like to ask Mr. Randy Stoops to give us a little insight. If you have any questions or want to share any thoughts for our presenter tonight, you've been on camera the entire time.
Well, I do have some comments and probably some questions, but I am the president of a small club and we were really hit hard last year when the pandemic hit. We've been meeting on Zoom. There were weeks and weeks when we had 6 people total. So we decided as a group of officers that we wanted to grow our membership. And part of that, of course, is when you bring in new members, especially if they've never been a Toastmaster before, you have to show them how to do it. And in the Toastmasters context, we call that mentoring. So we assign a mentor to a new member. We just inducted 5 members last week. We've got 2 more that I'm pretty sure are going to join us, during the month of March, and the last March we'll do that too. And so it's sort of like a pipeline in a way. I mentor some people, but I haven't really finished that formal self-study and pathways on mentoring. And it's difficult sometimes to distinguish between what's a mentor and what's a coach and what's just sort of a, you know, the host of the party or a member in the club that tells you how we do things. And in our context, it's really all of those things. We're showing them, here's how we do it, here's how you should do it. More than half of those new members say, I'm joining Toastmasters because I want to excel and I want to do better in my job, but I'm just not very good at speaking. And I'm really, you can tell some of them are shy at speaking. And so they don't want to speak. So you really got to hold their hand and say to them, let me help you do this. How would you do it? How will you do your icebreaker? What will you say? Those kind of things. So it's hard for me to make the kind of, discrete differences between coaching and just being a good member or friend to this person who comes in your group and the more formal mentoring that I think that Ms. Haygood was talking about. We also have to rely on our elder statesmen, the people that have been in our club for a few years in order to do that, and that's not a large pool of people now compared to the people that are coming in the door. So we have more than one person. So I guess the most important question I could ask is, how do we know, how does a mentor in my club know when they're doing a good job and when they can sort of back off and let the member go on their own, sort of like when a bird gets kicked out of the nest by their mother, it's time to fly.
I think that would be a question in regard to the club for one who is familiar with the pathway, because I am a very fluent educator, but I am not fluent in Toastmasters. I do think you ask a question, but will provide these 2 cents from my perspective. And that is, you heard me say I've been a coach and I have done formal and informal mentoring. And so I think you're exactly spot on. There are times when I'm sought for knowledge on something just as the expert. It's as simple as providing whatever insight or whatever experience that I have. And sometimes I honestly think, Mr. Stooks, it's just in terms of fulfilling, it's exactly what you said. Who am I in this moment? Now, I do understand that I'm here to help some of the clubs get on this pathway that Toastmasters has defined, and I'll defer to one of those. But I think if you have new members and there are just a few of you, you probably are going to move in and out of those roles probably very seamlessly until there is sufficient enough membership to say, okay, this is the weakest link, or this is the person who, not even the weakest link, I take that back. This is the person who wants help achieving a specific goal, and this is the person who is most prepared to help guide them in accomplishing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And I believe that is a good segue into another question I have for our speaker, Ms. Haygood. What advice would you give to someone that's in a mentoring relationship that has gone south? It is just not working well for them.
Well, one, I think if Toastmasters has a pathway for that, then knowing what the exit route is, is this where I have had obligations to fulfill to the mentee, and the mentee has fulfilled their component of it, then I think we can create kind of a superficial, amicable way to exit that relationship. But there are times when, Lord, haven't I not seen it at school, where there's just incompatibility of personality. So the first thing to that, before I would say it would even get there, is have a process for identifying that partnership. Oftentimes I tell people about my husband and I, if you took a list of 10 traits and characteristics, we would share probably none of them. But if you're familiar with Match.com, they talk about what makes them different than the other organizations is that they have a formula for compatibility. And compatibility doesn't always lead to sameness or the likely obvious characteristics that might partner people together. So I would say foremost start by making a good match in mentorship. But when it goes south, you know, creating an environment where everyone is respected and where everyone is heard, then it makes it easier to say, this isn't working for me. And if it's not working for you, we can agree to move on. And so I think in an organization, I would assume, again, I'm not a Toastmaster, you have professional language to use that would allow for that kind of maturity to surface in parting ways, and perhaps finding, you know, someone else who might be a more compatible mentor, or even someone who is just differently credentialed. You know, it may appear that this is the support that I need, but in actuality, we were mistaken. It could be that you need this as a resource instead, resource or support instead.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that perspective, Ms. Haygood.
I will say this, I'm sorry to add, ghosting not welcome here though. I mean, I think we just all have to remember to be, you know, you can't just quit showing up or quit answering the phone, because again, when respect is at the heart of whatever the partnership or relationship is, then we can move forward, you know, in that, even when it's in opposite directions.
Thank you. Thank you for that addition. I think respect is a very valuable asset that I think has to be mutual from both parties.
Mm-hmm. I will say this, Ms. Mitchell, too, you know, those protocols that I alluded to, I encourage you all just to do a little bit of web surfing on protocols, because I'm sure there is a protocol for having a difficult situation. And one of my favorites is, I have a dilemma, and we sit as a group and work on solving that dilemma. So there is a protocol for even when you have a dilemma. And so when you can have a structured conversation, again, sometimes that structure will remove the emotions out of that scenario.
Okay, I will definitely look into that. I think everybody probably jotted that down as a note to research further. Damon, do you have any closing questions or remarks?
I mean, why not? So let's talk about what resources do we have as individuals who want to be mentors, who want to learn what being a mentor is, who would like to start mentorship programs within our own club, or even if we can't, or it's just not the right time to have a mentorship club or program in our clubs, you have the ability to be able to seek mentors outside of your club. I want to make sure that I punch that home real quickly to our attendees. Of course, D44 mentorship program is here to help you start the club. I'm going to keep on saying club. Start this program within your club. However, it is known, some of us, like Randy stated earlier, we actually share something. We've got 20 plus members every Wednesday, 7 or 6. 20 plus members every Wednesday, 7 or 6. You know, and it's usually the 7 leaders. You know, and it happens. And so a lot of times you don't have the environment, or you're just not ready, you know, for you to start a program within your club. It just needs some assistance. That's what we're going to be able to offer to our D44 family, hopefully everywhere else, but our D44 family as well. So, and that's what you guys are here for also, not just to learn and to gain the resources and to obtain some ideas of how to start the mentorship program in your club, but we're looking for you to be mentors as well. You never know. We said it at our previous, if you want to call it a webinar, I'm sorry, our previous get-together. We said it before then, you know, we want to make sure that you understand the person that is at Club C might fit perfect with you. So let's talk about how do we know that. So for Randy and our other attendees here, you have a couple of documents that are actually on D44, the website, as well as Toastmasters.org. The most important one for you as a mentor trying to have a mentorship program in your club is the Mentor Interest Survey. And this lines in with what a couple of questions you had, Randy, or concerns. This survey allows your club members to fill out what they're looking for. That helps with your matching. It will help with your getting them together. And if you don't already know me, I'm a complete fool, if you can't tell. I love to have fun. I love everything to be at 11. Let's have a great time. Meaning, do the interest survey, set up a mixer. Do the interest survey, have a club meeting specific for that. You know, make something, have a scene. You know, everybody comes in with Harry Potter robes on. We're all learning. It's Hogwarts. You know, do something that makes the learning process fun. As well as, once you get that interest survey, there, again, are a lot of documents. We have formulated a nice little zip file that we filled with some resources for you guys that I'll make sure that we share. I think I can put it in the chat. However, we do still want to make sure that we get all your emails so we can forward this information to you. But this is mentorship materials, and I'm not going to show them. What I'm going to do is talk about them. That way we're not going back and forth because there's really no need. What you need to do is be able to gather these resources and read them yourself. That is what a mentor is. You take the skeleton and you put the meat on it, right? That's all you need. You need a base. There's a document how to start a mentorship program. As you said, Randy, I'm currently still for about a year and a half now going through the mentorship path in Toastmasters. It is a part of your path. I do want to make sure I say this as well. To be a mentor within D44, to be a mentor even in your club, you don't have to. It's strongly suggested. And that's what we're here for as well. We're giving you the resources for those individuals who are coming in strong. They've been a mentor for 30 years, but this is their first year in Toastmasters. I think our speaker is one of them young ladies. Hopefully she'll be in soon. You know, been doing it for years, coming in, just needs, what do I need to do? You know, she doesn't necessarily need to have a full training or the full training materials. And there could be somebody who's brand new who doesn't know what being a mentee is, doesn't know what being a mentor is. So again, it's vastly based on your ability as a club, one, to have one place with all your mentors, with your club members, Get your list. Where can you get that from? There's 150 different places. You can go into pathways. You can go into Toastmasters.org. You can get it if you use Free Toast Host. There's a list there. You basically want to get the list of your club members, their email addresses, and your interest survey. Start there. Once you get your interest survey in, you will have enough information to get started. What does my club need to focus on? In this packet that we will also be able to provide to you, I added the actual mentoring, PowerPoint, from .org and our mentoring deck, which basically is old way, new way, and for lack of a better term. But again, you're utilizing what Toastmasters has provided us, what this committee has came together, and you again take it, put it together, get a little outfit, and put it right on that skeleton. It's for your club. It's for your club personally. And as well, the mentorship timeline. This is something that we discussed at our last webinar. And basically, it is a first meeting, a second meeting, and what happened. And I know this is more than likely going to be a question for clubs, and probably for this class of elite individuals here this evening. You know, how do you effectively have a timeline? And I believe Mona said it earlier. It is going to differ. So, for instance, that's why when you look at the deck, the first visit, the second visit, and what happens after. That is your base. I feel personally a mentor should meet with their mentee at least once a month. You already see them every week. So, you know, or however your club meeting is, you know, you don't want to go on the overkill. I also want to make sure that we are very familiar, as I'm sure we all are, with Zoom. Zoom is on your phone, Zoom is on your computer, Zoom is on your laptop. Have your meeting on Zoom or at least FaceTime. See your mentor. If there's anything that you gather from this from me, in order for you to be effective, you must be effective with being able to read a room, being able to read your mentee. Your mentee should be able to read you. You should be able to look into somebody's eyes and we'll be able to move forward. It's very difficult when you're texting or emailing, as I'm sure most of us understand. You know, we all come from, I don't see any teeny boppers. We all come from a time where that rotary rang, you know, and we waited on the snail mail to get here. But I do want to make sure, you know, it's one of my goals for D44, and I'm preparing a lot of stuff for it now. I want to make sure everybody is really into understanding Zoom. It will help you with establishing a mentorship program. Zoom, Teams, whatever is online. With that being said, I want to make sure that I let you know what was in the packet, what resources that you do have. You already should be familiar with Pathways and the knowledge that there is a mentorship path. Take it. Go ahead and peruse it. Trust me, it takes a whole year. Believe you me. And with, you know, other than that, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, you can reach out to us. We are at tm.d44mentorship@gmail.com. I'm sure somebody's going to post it. Again, that's tm.d44mentorship@gmail.com. If you are looking into becoming a mentor and you would like to join us, we have a Facebook page. There are 3 questions that we would like for you to answer so that we can interview you and get you prepared to not only go back into your club and start that mentorship, but also if you are available for my little brother all the way over here who needs Michelle Stanton right now, you know, are you available for them? I will end my long, drawn out discussion on the many resources that you have. I did talk a little long, especially considering it's going to be emailed to you, so I apologize. And I would like to go ahead and let us respect your 4 minutes left, get this meeting closed out. I am going to turn it back over to my 2 chairs for them to be able to close out with any last words and to also address any maybe final questions that somebody may have. Thank you guys so much again for attending this webinar. You have been awesome. And I'm going to go to Kedria because I know it's been a while since you were able to talk.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edwards. As he said, I mean, he's given quite a bit of information. And I would like to end just by saying thank you for being here tonight. It allows us to know exactly that there are some people who truly have an interest in mentorship. We on our team, we have hearts of passion, and we take this very seriously, and we move slow because this is something that is connecting with another human being. So thank you for coming out. And I would end by saying, my name is Kedria Shepherd, and I am a mentor.
And Kelmiki.
I think you all have said it all. I'm just excited to see those of you who are here, and I look forward to partnering with you as we begin our mentoring program in District 44. I'm going to remember your faces and your names.
And of course, the beautiful, the one, Miss Kari Evans.
Thank you. And I am so glad that you have been able to join us. Thank you, Damon, Kelmikas, and Kedria for putting this together. Thank you, Mona Haygood, for all of your great information, sharing your story with us, and sharing tips and tricks and things that we can all use in our club mentoring program. And then when we go forward with pairing mentors outside of the club. Please share this information with your fellow club members. I'll be sending or sharing the recording on the District 44 website. That's d44toastmasters.org. If you've not been there, check it out. And you'll be able to find, we'll put the mentorship materials up as well as the recording. So take a look for that in a few days. And I believe we're also going to email the materials, and we'll email the recording as well to the participants here. So thank
Looks
you
like
for
they're in
your
the chat
time.
window.
What's that?
Looks like somebody put them in the chat window.
Yep. Yep. It is in there, and we'll email it just to follow up. So thank you. And the mentorship team and the Club Growth team is here for you if you have questions or anything that you need. And we will close it out. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Perfect timing. Have a great evening.
Night.